Welcome to Fairfield Public Access Television. I'm Susan Kessel. And
I'm Connie Boyer.
And we're here together to do our Opening Fairfield Doors show. And our show today is brought to you by Graff and Company, our sponsor. Once again, this is the second show they've sponsored, so we would like to thank them. And we have someone here that wants to come out, so it's business as usual. Connie, maybe we should say our mission statement and why we're here.
Okay, for those of you that have never watched this show, Susan and I put together this a couple months ago, and our mission statement is, by opening the doors into the lives and people of Fairfield, we will hope to promote awareness, appreciation, and understanding of one another. And that's what our goal is and what we hope to accomplish by sharing people in Fairfield with you.
And also places. And a place that we're opening the door today is the Fairfield Post Office. And they've just went through a new renovation project, and it is, I believe, complete. But we'll go in and visit with the Postmaster Connie Brinning and find out exactly everything and take a tour of the post office.
Okay. Hi.
We are at the Postmaster's office, and this is Connie Brinning, the Postmaster in Fairfield. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Connie and I thought this would be a great show to do because you've just renovated the post office, and you're new here, fairly new?
Fairly new.
I think you took on the project in the middle. You came in the middle of the project?
Well, actually, I came before the project started, but it was all in line to
be done.
Okay.
Right. Where do you live? Do you live in Fairfield?
No, I don't. I live in Washington.
So you have a drive.
I have a drive, yeah.
And what did you do before you came here?
I was the postmaster of Sigourney.
In Sigourney.
Mm-hmm. And before that, I worked in Washington as the superintendent of postal operations, called the SPO position.
SPO position.
Yeah.
So you've been with the post office for how many years then altogether?
I've been with the post office for 23 years.
Oh, wow.
So
you've have seen a lot of different aspects of working at a post office.
Right, and I worked in several offices. I started out in Hills as a clerk in Hills.
But have you always lived in Washington?
No, I lived in Iowa City at the time.
So the post office doesn't require you to live in the place that you work?
No, we're not required to, although we are kind of expected to connect with the community that we serve, you know. But
so a typical day, you get up and drive your... One time, when I talked with you ahead of time, you said something about, well, we could take the show at 5 in the morning, or it's at 3 in the morning, to avoid, the busy customer hours.
Right.
What was that?
Well,
you said one time you came to work and it was...
Oh, yes. Well, this morning, this was a good day.
Okay.
I was up at 2:30 this morning, and I left home at 3:30, and I was in Ottumwa at 4:30 this morning to watch them sort Fairfield's mail.
Wow.
To see how they sorted it. So I would know how they did it with the automation and got it here.
Wow. So how long do you stay during the day? Do you stay till 5?
Oh, I will today, yes.
And that's normal?
Normally I'm here at 7 and I'm gone by 5:30. So it's still a long day.
That's a very long day. I'm glad we talked about that because I don't think people know that.
I can't believe your eyes are still awake.
I know we talked about the postal service.
I'm doing pretty good today.
And the postmen delivering in rain, sleet, snow, no matter what the weather, they're out there. But it sounds like you are too.
A lot of the postal work is actually done at night. People don't really realize that because they see their mailman at their mailbox every day, and
But
They're
there's a lot
pretty
of-
visible, but behind the scenes, the mail is sorted and moved at night.
So can you take us through, we come and mail our mail today, whether it's to Fairfield or whether it's to Des Moines. What happens to that mail as soon as it's placed in
In the mail slot?
In the mail slot out here.
Okay. Anymore, everything in Fairfield goes to Des Moines. And it
Even
sounds
if it's going to
crazy.
be mailed to Fairfield.
Right, even if it goes in Fairfield. Even if you mail a letter to your next door neighbor, it's going to Des Moines before it comes back.
Because
Which
it's
sounds
quicker.
crazy. Yeah, it sounds crazy to normal people. Why would we ever do that? But now we're getting our mail done on automation. So when the mail comes into Fairfield, the letter mail, probably 70% of it anyway, is sorted to the carrier on his route the way he delivers his route. So he does not sort that mail
in
anymore.
Wow.
And it's all done by machines.
It's all done by machines.
Okay.
So in
So
order
how's a
to get
machine-
that mail in the carrier's automation mail, we have to send everything to Des Moines in order to get it in there.
So is there a semi that pulls up or something? Mail semi?
Yeah, every night at 5:45 a semi leaves Fairfield direct for Des Moines. Comes from Burlington, stops in Mount Pleasant, stops in Fairfield, and then it's direct to Des Moines. And in the
Yeah.
morning, we have a semi that comes through at 3 o'clock in the morning, bringing us our first mail.
It's delivered here at 3 or it leaves there at 3?
It arrives here in Fairfield at 3,
3 in the morning.
and then we get another truck at 6:30 in the morning.
So you've got people working during the night here to start
Right.
getting
have-
that mail out and unloading the truck or whatever.
Right. We have clerks that start at 3 in the morning, and the last person at night is out the door about 6 o'clock.
Now, to
So-
keep this automation moving smoothly, are there some directives that the public needs to know on printing or writing, colored ink?
Well, actually, there's been major improvements in the machinery. It
Okay.
used to be years ago, all they could read were typewritten addresses.
Mhm.
Now they've got machines that can read some handwritten addresses. They're also got a window across your envelope where it actually reads. It can't read the whole front piece of the mail piece, but it reads the certain area where the address
So if someone
goes.
writes extremely large, that would be a
Right,
problem for
that
that.
could be, but it's like Star Wars. I'm not kidding. It's unbelievable what these
Wow.
machines can do.
And how big are these machines? Are these really large machines that fill a room?
Very
Are they
large.
small, like a computer type situation?
Oh no, they're very
or-
very long machines. Gosh, I don't know, almost the length of a basketball court, maybe. Very long. They've got them to the point now where if the machine cannot read the address and put on what we call a barcode, which is on the bottom of your letters, little lines
Right.
that designate the zip code and break it down. If it can't read that, it takes a picture of it and it is sent, I guess, via wire to a place in Kansas. There's a place in Kansas and I believe Nebraska, somewhere out west, that sees it comes up on a picture like a TV screen, and they do have live people there that see it,
That are just
that can read it, and they type in the zip code, and then the machine can put the barcode on, and it's done by the time that letter gets back around to the other machine. It's instant.
That's amazing. That
So-
sounds like a fun place to go visit just to see that.
Right. Well, that's in Des Moines.
And
We get our
just-
mail barcoded in Des Moines. We actually get it sorted in Ottumwa.
I was going to say, you said you were in Ottumwa, so
Right.
it's barcoded in Des Moines
Right.
and then sorted.
The only reason for that is because we are so far from Des Moines. Takes too long to get all this done and make the loop overnight. And Des Moines is very busy doing Des Moines and the areas surrounding towns of Des Moines.
That was my next question, is does
Right.
the whole state send their mail to Des Moines?
Currently, well, no, not exactly. There's Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Waterloo, and Davenport. the Quad Cities. Those are the 4 major mail centers, and all the mail for Iowa more or less goes there, unless
What
it goes
about the
to
western
Sioux
part
City.
of the state?
Well, Des Moines and Sioux City handle it.
Sioux City.
Mhm.
Now, does the zip code play a very important role in that sorting?
Very important.
Okay.
If the zip code is wrong, it's not going to get where it's supposed to go.
And if it's not on there, then does it flip up on the screen for someone to put it on there, like you said?
No, if you put the wrong zip code on, it's going to go to that zip code if it exists.
And if there is no zip code written on there?
Then somewhere along the line, somebody has to look it up. So it does delay your mail piece, but it will get to where it's going.
And what about the additional 4 digits
Mhm.
that,
Those are the digits that get it down to the carrier order, those last 4.
has that usage been as good as post office would have expected?
Yeah, the post office never really tried to get the average mailer to use it.
Okay.
For one thing, there are too many of them. They go for every block, every side of the street. There's a number for that. There's a number for some buildings. Just the building has its own 4 digits. So what they have done is they've talked to major mailers and encouraged them to use it because they do a lot of automation mail anyway. They have the computer software and the ability to put them on. But
And so
otherwise,
is that really something
no.
businesses would use more than, you know,
Right.
than individuals?
Right.
Okay.
They're using that.
So now we've got the capability. If you get the zip code on there, we can go ahead and zip plus for it, but
Okay.
we don't require it.
'Cause I
It's-
always felt a little bad because I never used that, but I wasn't quite sure.
No, it's not required, and I don't believe it will be anytime soon. They don't.
Well, does
Really
that, doesn't
stress
that,
it.
doesn't that, those last 4 digits, don't they change from time to time, or?
Not too much,
I
unless
guess-
something,
I mean, I know that sounds a little corny, but
in some growth areas, yeah, they could maybe change, but once they're set,
and they're
they
pretty much
should be pretty
established.
much established.
Now, we are downtown at the post office, and since we won't visit is it called the substation?
The
Or
carrier annex,
Carrier Annex, which
Mhm.
is out on Jefferson. Could you explain what that is for and who uses it and?
sure, yeah.
Okay.
That's where all of our mail comes when it comes into town.
It goes there?
It goes there. All the incoming mail goes there. Our bulk mailers take their mail out there. The carriers are out there. All of the mail sorting is done out there that we
Okay,
do.
I didn't know that.
Downtown, what we have basically is the box section and the window
Okay.
section.
Now, I know when I've done a bulk mailing for the Fairfield Art Association, we have a booklet that we use to figure out how to do it, and then we have them bundled according and separated by zip code,
Mhm.
and little stickers on to say whether they go direct and all
Here,
these
there.
things, and then we take it to almost like the back door loading dock,
Mm-hmm.
and during certain hours. And do you know what those
Right.
hours are?
9 to 3.
9 to 3. And that's a whole nother topic probably, is bulk mailing.
Right. The Postal Service doesn't have a sale. We don't give discounts, more or less. What we do offer bulk mailers is a lower rate on their mail in exchange for them doing the work for us.
Okay.
So that's-
And I believe it's a minimum of 200
Yes.
pieces in one mailing.
Right, and that's if you're doing standard rate mail. If you're doing first class, there's a 500 minimum
Okay.
of pieces. So, and there's fees attached to it. It's for people that really do a quantity of mailing.
Right.
If you're just doing one big mailing, say, oh, I've got so much, I've got 800 pieces in this one mailing. If you're only doing one, that may not be your best avenue.
Right. And I know the Art Association does one about every month or maybe more, so it does.
Right.
And
The more
you need to be
often you mail-
nonprofit, right?
You don't have to be
No?
nonprofit. That's a extra status. It gives
Okay.
you a more of a better rate, actually.
Okay.
So you're getting a better rate from the bank.
Yeah.
We have less money. Okay. How many employees are there in the Fairfield system?
35.
35?
Mm-hmm.
And
Total altogether. We
how
have,
many carriers?
okay, you're going to make me count on my fingers.
Oh.
Okay, well, let's see, carriers for the city. We have 8 city routes. The 8th route is called an auxiliary route. It's not a full-time route. So I have 7 regular carriers, full-time. I have 1 other regular carrier that carries days off.
Okay.
So, and he's full-time. And I have 3 part-time carriers. So,
Now, I've always heard that Fairfield had a lot of mail
we do.
that you handle an extraordinary amount. Have you heard
For
that?
this size of town.
For this size of town, we do. We have a lot of mail. The day after the holiday, we had a semi come into Fairfield. 95% of the semi was Fairfield's mail.
And this was the day after Labor Day.
Right. So
Wow.
we really like to mail. We like to
That's
get mail.
good, I
That is,
consider,
that's very good. Yeah. So,
I was going to say, if somebody was interested in a post office career, what are the avenues? What do you suggest? You know, where did you start to become
Okay.
postmaster?
where did I start? Well, that was years ago. Things have changed a little bit since then, but in some ways not really much at all. They used to give the civil service test, and that was how you got into the Postal Service. And they gave it every 2 to 3 years. It was set.
I took some test once up in Ottumwa.
Yeah.
And you had like so many seconds to memorize these addresses.
Right.
And then you had to repeat them, and I think I flunked. I did really terrible.
But in order to
I thought it was impossible.
get in the Postal Service as a clerk or a carrier, and that's really about the only avenue. We do have some positions that we do hire off the street, but they're usually things like engineers, architects, some positions like that. But the normal avenue in the door is take a test, take the clerk carrier test, and you are listed by your score on the test. When you take it, the test, you can sign up for certain areas, and then when any office in that area has an opening, they contact Des Moines and get the hiring sheet, and it is the list of the people that have taken the test in score order.
So what's on that test in the 90s? What would you find if you would take that test today?
Well, it'd be pretty much the same. It's still a lot of memorization because you have to memorize a lot. The carriers, they have to memorize their routes. They have anywhere from 600 to 800 stops a day. They're going to memorize which way they go. They've got to sort their mail, so they have to memorize it on their case as to, 200 Broadway is over here, and 500 Main is over here, and they've got a lot to remember. The clerks have to know the entire town so that they can sort the mail to the carriers.
Now, what is the postmaster's job? What do you do?
I'm more or less the administrator, the office manager. Yeah, more or less. And make sure that the work is done, that it's done correctly, that we're following procedures, and reports are sent in, and everything's done the way it's supposed to be.
And are there certain security procedures that particularly carriers have to go by?
Safety is our #1 priority. We won't do anything that's not safe, and we encourage our employees to only work in a safe manner.
How many dog bites a year do you have?
Actually, we are very lucky. We have not had a dog bite.
In 1999?
Right.
Well, that's nice.
And we didn't have one last year either, but we have had them in the past. Dogs do seem to like mailmen for some reason.
Is that one of their biggest risks as an animal?
Normally, yeah, and driving. You know, be careful with vehicle accidents and, you know, just the normal, not watching where they walk, steps, stairs, porches can be very slick when it's wet or snowy. Children's toys left in the yard, you know, get a little snow on the ground and can get a nice surprise. And so it's not exactly a dangerous job, but still there's safety factors that.
Even though we don't have snow and ice right now, I guess it's something to remember because we're coming to those months soon to keep sidewalks and steps and porches cleaned and for your postman
Right.
or postwoman or postperson.
Postperson.
Well, I think
Mail deliverer.
I think the post office looks really nice.
Yeah, good.
Since it's been completed. I came in a few times in the process of the renovation, and I wondered.
Oh, it was a nightmare.
I imagine functioning in the middle of all this would be really hard.
Yeah, and it took a lot longer than what they had anticipated. So the project started in September and was to be done December 20 something
Of
or other.
last year.
Mm-hmm.
So a year ago
So-
it started.
Right.
And what were the major things that were done? And I understand that you've kept it architecturally, historically.
The architect firm was from Des Moines that did the plan, and they worked with the Historical Society on the lobby and what changes could be allowed and what changes would not be allowed to do in the lobby. So they tried to keep it as close to intact as they could. In fact, they tried to restore it back to the way it looked when it first opened.
I've always thought we've had a really nice looking post office.
Yeah.
It's a great building from the outside. Yeah.
Do you know-
Love the windows and
Yes, the year it was built.
I knew you were going to ask me that.
Approximately how many years?
Oh gosh. Well, I want to say 1937, but I'm not
Okay.
exactly sure why.
Okay, just a number.
That year
jumps
kind
out.
of jumps out at me, but it's a very old building, you know.
And with the renovation, you haven't outgrown it.
No, we did outgrow it. That's why we have the carrier annex.
Okay, but you're still able to use this really functionably, I think. Is that a word?
Right.
Functionably.
it is now.
And I think, you know, we'll take a tour and show people, because I don't know how many people in the community actually come to the post office. I do once in a while, but I'm sure there are people out there that haven't.
Right. And a lot of people in the country, rural carriers offer services that city carriers do not. So they may not have the need to come
Right. And if
unless
you
they have
haven't
something
been
to pick
here,
up.
in a year you'll have a big surprise.
That's for sure.
So I think we'll stop the camera and we'll then move on. Okay, so we're out in the lobby of the post office, and this has been opened up with your office still, I imagine, the same place it was,
Right.
at the east end of the lobby. But the room is it's the same.
It's the same.
Different.
The
Right.
lobby was actually probably the least, didn't get as much change to it as the rest of the building. And because they wanted to keep it intact, that's why.
Right. So the
that's why we-
flooring is the
The
same?
floor is the same. The woodwork's the same. They basically painted the walls. The ceiling fixtures were changed. These were actually made for us from an original photograph of the lobby. So this should be as close as the architect could come with the original lighting fixtures that were in here
Those are nice.
when it opened.
And I love the curved parts at the ceiling, the little half moon areas,
Yeah, very nice.
and the woodwork is very nice. Now, was the glass in there? Is that the same?
The glass was in there. Then we did originally have a box section here. Well, the whole lobby was full. You couldn't hardly see the
Right.
lobby. It was full of post office boxes. And they they left the windows just to try to keep as much of the old lobby as they could.
I like that.
You know, and still open it up so you can get through to the new part.
Now I know over the years I've come in here and I've seen the walls. I don't know how many different colors.
Yeah.
And this looks very nice.
Can you tell us a little bit about the murals that are at each end, up towards the ceiling?
Sure. The murals in here were done during the Depression. The Postal Service hired artists to decorate lobbies in certain offices and buildings that they owned to give them work.
So these murals have been there since the Depression?
Yes.
I was
I
thinking
guess I didn't realize that.
those were maybe refurbished.
They have been refurbished over the years to keep them going.
Okay. We actually have a video that we got, I believe, from Iowa Public Television about
They did a
post
show
office
on those.
murals.
Yeah, a few years
So
ago.
I'll show that again.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
so they made sure they left them, and
1982 is what our cameraman is saying. Date on this one above us.
oh, it is? Well, maybe I stand corrected. Okay.
Head this way?
Let's,
Go this- Which way would you like to go? This way?
maybe we'll just make a circle. And this was actually the work area of.
Right, this was our old workroom floor. This is where the carriers and the clerks sorted the mail and got it out every day. But as we kept adding routes, we got more crowded and more crowded, so we finally outgrew the space. Our renovation is practically done, except for one item
This
here.
station isn't ready, is it?
No, then here
First
is
time I saw this, it says weigh it, and I thought,
on what?
on
Yeah.
what? Exactly.
So you're waiting
We're still trying to get it installed, so.
the scale.
Right, an electronic scale will go in here so that you can lay your piece on here, punch in what it is, where it's going, and it'll tell you the cost.
Oh, wow. It
So-
seems to me like the public is able to do a lot more themselves if they know how,
Right,
and also that they are doing more. You're not just going up to a post office box and saying,
yeah.
do everything for you. You can weigh it, you can get the packages to put them in, and that the post office is doing a lot of other services.
Well, it extends our hours. You know, if you can't come while we're open, you can still come in and mail your package because we should have things available for you to do so.
And is the lobby then open 24 hours a day?
No, it's not. It's
No,
open till 11 o'clock at
11
night.
o'clock at night.
And it opens at 5 in the morning. So next thing to all day.
And you can come over here and, boy, I didn't know this until just right now. You can get your own stamps.
Mm-hmm. And buy,
ATM machine.
yeah, it gives change in dollar
So
coins.
you insert your bills here.
See, now I didn't know that because sometimes I would buy a card and want to mail it. And lots of places don't sell stamps. You're lucky if you find one that does. And
So you can buy one stamp or a book of stamps, is that correct?
Right, that's correct.
or you can get,
It's going to be a book. Apparently you didn't have one to slide in as a sample.
Okay, these are different kinds of stamps,
Yeah,
aren't
with
they?
the prices
I
underneath.
understand. Okay.
and
So,
also got lots of handy workspaces
yes.
with the zip code book to look up zip codes.
Mm-hmm.
So you have no excuse for not putting that on there. And over here,
Okay.
mailing.
Mailing. Okay.
It's all labeled really handy, so you
Right.
should be able to know where to go.
A lot of people are still used to coming to the post office and looking for local and out of town. Local and out of town. And with the automation that we're doing now, local and out of town doesn't exist. Now all exists is stamped and metered and parcels. It all goes in one container because it's all got to go through the automation system in order to come back
So
and
you
carrier
don't
order.
need to be confused or wonder. You just put it in there.
You have less to think about now. All you got to do is stick it in.
You can't get it wrong.
Right.
And so then this mail leaves at 5 o'clock through the weekday.
That means it's pulled at 5 o'clock. We're going to have a dispatch. Actually, it leaves closer to 5:30 by the time we get it on the truck, and the truck leaves.
But if you've got your mail in here by 5 o'clock that day,
It's
should
going to
be
go
of
out
here.
that day.
We've got a friend.
Mayfly.
Right.
Now, I made the mistake of last year buying Christmas cards that were perfectly square.
Uh-oh.
And I don't remember on the box it saying requires extra postage, but maybe it did and I just didn't see it. So mine all came back.
Right.
And then I bought another cards. I guess I'm attracted to perfectly square cards or something because they're unusual. And I bought more and those came back.
You can't have a perfectly square piece
No.
of mail?
We have a 11-cent surcharge that applies to mail that weighs 1 ounce or less, and it falls into an odd size,
And
odd
square
shape
is
category.
odd size. Is that anything you think will be changed or?
No, I don't. I
So
really doubt it.
my word of advice is don't buy perfectly square cards or anything unless you're going to hand them out, give them away, whatever. If they're going through the post office system, don't.
So when they're returned, does she have to completely do it all over to get
I
them
just
out?
had to add
She
11
had to
cent
have
stamp.
11
Unless,
cents.
you know, you're willing to add the 11-cent stamp, then go for it.
You can go for it. But a lot of those sizes won't go through our equipment, so it costs us
Oh, so
more.
that's what the issue is.
Costs us more to get them sorted and get them delivered. So
So I learned
the
the hard way.
surcharge. Yeah.
So at what point are they too big to go through the normal?
You ask me all kinds of things. I can't tell you exact inch size. It goes by a template.
Which, if you have a question, you can stop in and pick one up.
Well, the clerks, window clerks have
measure.
them at their windows. They'll be glad to show you. You can call. We'll be glad to tell you. Tell us what
Okay.
size your mail piece is. We'll tell you if it
Okay.
qualifies or not. And it's been a little too many years since I've been on the window. I used to remember all those
Right.
things.
Well, there's a lot to remember.
Okay, so the rule of thumb is if you have an odd size, call or write it in.
If it weighs an
Check it
ounce
out.
or less. Now, if it's over an ounce, the surcharge doesn't apply.
Okay.
Now, this back in here, this is a big space.
Yeah, this is all new.
And you do have another entrance that you can come in on the east side here, I noticed.
Right.
Which was the opening during construction that we had to use.
It was actually in the plan to be a fire exit, emergency exit only. And we had to use it while the front was being renovated. But after talking with Kansas City and the building people, I finally convinced them that we should keep it open because people really enjoyed the east door.
Okay.
And it made it a lot simpler to get in. It also used another side of the building for parking
Oh, right.
and just kind of spread things out so we weren't so congested in the front.
Yeah, I can see where it would be helpful.
Yeah, so we've been able to make it another door so it's a little more convenient.
Now, what are we seeing over here?
Well, this is the original wall. Anything that's got wainscot on it,
Uh-huh.
that is what was here, more or less. Everything else is brand new. We got our old parcel lockers. These were supposed to leave us in the renovation. They installed new ones over in the wall, and they were going to take these out. And we convinced them that we really needed more parcel lockers, so they allowed us to keep them. So
What
that's
are
an
parcel
addition
lockers
to.
for?
Parcel lockers, these are for box customers, people that get their mail in the post office boxes. If they get a package
Uh-huh.
that's too big to fit in their box, the clerks can put the package in here
then
and put the key in their post office box. So if they come in after hours or if they come in and we're busy, they don't have to wait in line. They can come over and get their own parcel.
And then they just leave the key on,
The key stays in there. You can't get it
can't get
back.
it back out.
Yeah.
Oh. Interesting. Well, I didn't know that.
So it kind of helps with the line at the window.
Uh-huh.
So
Absolutely, yeah.
this is the very end of the box section, and that's as far as they went with the numbering. These blue sections are for expansion. If we ever need to add more boxes, we don't have to disrupt everybody like we did the first time. We can just keep adding them on to the end.
So the last number you have is 24.
98.
No, 98.
hmm
Are these all used?
Not all of them. A good majority of them are. I think currently, what is it? We have close to 1,300 rented.
So did you increase
So-
the number of boxes that you had with
Yeah,
this
we
renovation
did.
then?
We had little box sections everywhere. We even had these like phone booths that were post office boxes sitting out in the lobby. So this really cleaned up everything and put all the boxes in one area. Made it easier for us to get the mail in the boxes, and it goes a lot faster in the mornings now.
Right. So then, on down here, more of the same.
More of the same. Altogether, there's 1,400 post office
Okay.
boxes here.
Oh, a copy machine.
And a copy machine. The copy machine was here. It was in the old lobby, but it was kind of down in the corner and people didn't really see it too much.
And I've had occasion to want to make a copy and stick it in the mail, so that's another service.
Right, so like a convenience to.
Right.
And we have forms, envelopes.
I did notice you do have a lot of forms here. What are some of the things that people do at the post office? Do you have to still register for the civil service or the
A selective service?
selective service? Do they call?
Actually,
Oh, no.
anymore, it's a card that the person will mail in themselves.
Okay.
So we don't have quite as much to do with it as we did in years
Is that
past.
mailed to the individuals though, or do they get that here?
Now, anymore, a lot of them get them in high school or, college counselors. Usually they've had it done by then.
Telling my age by saying that. Oh.
Well, it only changed about a year ago. So,
Okay.
yeah, you're not that far.
Okay, good. And then back out in the lobby, there is the desk. What do you call this?
The windows?
The windows.
Yeah.
And you have a maximum of
With the renovation, they put in 3.
that you use 2.
Most days, yeah, we use 2 at a time.
And I think I'll let
But we
you.
do have room for 3 if we get
Okay.
extra busy.
I'll let you introduce the people that we're looking at.
Oh, okay. Well, this is Sherry Johnson.
Hi.
So,
Sure you gave the right change? I said, are you sure you gave the right change?
Yes, I did.
And also, I see the monitors. So when they're punching up something, you can look at it and see how much you have to pay.
exactly. You
And
can
wait.
see what they're seeing. It's the
Okay.
same. They have a little monitor down there facing them, but it'll show you the weight, it'll show you the class of mail, show you the price. So we did have 2 windows in the old lobby. Now we have 3, so they did add another window. We had what was called 2.5, and the half really didn't count, didn't work too good. So,
And now I can't help it. Oh, introduce here.
oh, this is Annie Dolash.
Hello.
And we warned them we were coming out here and just to continue as normal. I can't help but notice the clock thing ticking away over here.
The
And when-
Millennium clock.
Yes, when I was in Paris on the Eiffel Tower, they had one of those, and you could see it from all over. And this was almost 2 years ago,
No kidding.
clicking away. And so that's neat.
Time is running out.
And today is, we have to say this, 99.99. They're calling it the little brother of Y2K. And I have to say, at the bank, everything is running very smoothly.
Very good. Good.
And,
Here too.
Yeah.
No,
Good.
no
And that's what we all
changes.
expected, so that's a
Great.
good plus.
Great. Over here, you have
A counter line for,
counter line.
actually the line for the windows forms right along here. So if you're standing in line, you have a package, you can set it down, don't have to hang on to it. If you need to fill out a form before you get to the window, perhaps you're gonna certify your letter or you need insurance, the forms are all available here. Put your mail on hold, change your address, send an express mail. Try to keep the most popular, most used forms out here available.
And we're down at the other end of the lobby, and I was impressed with this display, which I think probably was behind the window, counter window before, and so you didn't really get a look at it that close.
Right. We're still in the process of fixing this wall up. We should have some lettering coming and perhaps some plastic holders that will hold more items on the wall. These are all items that we do carry. We've gotten out of a lot of the retail products anymore. We used to sell a lot of t-shirts and coffee mugs. Now we're pretty well limited to mailing things only. There's like mailing labels, stationery, paper, cards.
Now, are they all coordinated with stamps?
Yes, they are.
They are. I thought so.
So there are stamps available that go along with all of these items.
So you can take these, pick these up here and take them to the window and purchase them.
Right. In fact, they're here so people can come up and pick them up and look them over and see if it's what they would like to purchase. And then they can go to the window and buy matching stamps.
Okay, there's a real variety, and I know parents are always saying, kids today just don't write thank you notes or whatever, and so what a great way to pick one up with Looney Tunes on it,
Well, that's a stamp. That's a picture.
a picture, and have them use these things.
Right. So in October is stamp collecting month too. So
Oh,
I'd like to get people interested that collect stamps. You know.
What are some of the new stamps coming out? Do you know?
Insects and bugs is going to be the next big one.
they're big items.
So a nice stamp with a big spider on it.
Oh,
I don't want that. I won't be purchasing. Sorry. You won't find me at the window purchasing those.
and a whole other show, I'm sure, would just be on stamps and how they
Lots of
decide
stamps.
to do them and all of that.
Yeah, it takes several years to get a stamp out, actually. And if you're going to be a personality on a stamp, you have to be dead for 10 years
Oh.
in order to be on the
Has that always
stamp.
been true? Have they made any exceptions on that?
They could have made one, but that's the normal
10 years.
10 years.
So what's the process? Who approves that? Who thinks of the ideas?
Okay, they have to be submitted to a committee in Washington, D.C., and they decide on the stamps and what they would like to print and send them off to be printed, but it's quite a process. So,
Well, the stamps are so pretty. I always want to get special stamps, not just the regular. Adds a little touch, personal touch. To
right. We always have a supply of standbys, you know, and flags, we always have those. And normally some kind of flower of some kind, it's always standard. But then the commemoratives come and go, so
Right.
they're printed. When they're gone, they're gone. We don't always have them on hand, but
One other thing I was going to ask about is you always think of the post office in wanted posters.
wanted
Do you
posters.
still do that?
Well, We
was
did.
looking up here at
Right.
this bulletin board.
We did until we did the renovation. Anymore, no, we don't have to have them posted out.
So
We
that's
do
not
have them, no, but we have them in a book, and anyone wants to ask for the book, they're more than welcome to look through it. But we don't necessarily have them hanging up on the wall, which
Okay.
I kind of associate that too, you
Well, I
know, with
think
the
that's a
post
good idea.
office. So if we can get an anchor, perhaps we can move ours out to the lobby someplace, and then you can look through it whenever you want.
Well, I think we've covered everything, and once again, here at the post office, it's really turned out nice. I think people should come in and take a look, and I suppose you're always behind the door so they don't get to meet you.
Not
out
always,
here.
no.
So I'd like to thank you, Connie Brinning, for being on our tour and our show.
And thanks for helping getting the mail to its destination.
Well, thank you for coming.
So if you have any questions, stop in and check out everything that's going on here. Thank you, Connie.
Thank you.